Hi guys, I finally cracked the code. Guess what it is? This is what I wanted to discover about life as me. And I wanted to create this graph. And when you look at this graph, I'm showing the 3D physical, the 4D experimental, the 5D called the spiritual, with the arrow going down showing you that from the 5D spiritual to the 5D physical. That means five dimension, you can access it when you're in the astral body. You can actually access it when you die, and you can as well access it in the body. How does this work? I've I've managed to discover this big thing, and I'm telling you guys, if you understand this, trust me, you're gonna be knowing the secret of the universe, the secret of dimensions, how life really works in the afterlife. You're gonna understand why do we go through what we're going through right now. You're gonna understand why is it called the third dimension, why do we shift from third to fifth, why do we skip the fourth dimension. This topic is gonna let you know everything. Cause right now you're in the third dimension. You know how third dimension works, and leave alone the things of religion. They've been telling us that we have heaven and hell after we die. This graph is gonna explain to you everything. These are the dimensions we can access when we die, and they are the same dimensions we access in the body. We are in the third dimension in this physical body. We can only go in the fifth dimension when we die and at the same time come back in the body. We can't go in the fourth dimension as a body. There is no day that Earth will shift to the sixth dimension. It will never shift to the eighth dimension, or the 10th dimension, the 12th dimension, 14th, 16th. As you see, there's a reason why I managed to make these on 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, blah, 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 to the 33rd dimension. This is what I'm going to show you. You can ask yourself, how did I end up with this? The fact is that you know the third dimension, how it works, as I told you. You experience the fourth dimension every single time. And right now, as I'm talking to you, you're thinking about what I'm telling you. You're trying to figure out to see whether it's right. You're accessing the fourth dimension. When you think, when you believe, when you imagine, you access the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is mental, emotional, imaginary. It's where manifestation and everything takes place. That's why in every dimension we need to be skipping one dimension at least. That dimension will help you to experiment what you think you are in the third dimension, in the fifth dimension, in the seventh dimension or ninth dimension. You know what is happening in the third dimension. You experience the fourth dimension. You don't know what is in the fifth dimension. Why? The earth has not yet shifted to the fifth dimension. But I know what happens in the fifth dimension. I may not be knowing what happens in the ninth dimension, 11, 13, 15, 17, and so on. But as I managed to discover these two dimensions, actually these four dimensions, the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, I can actually come and tell you how life feels like when we go through these dimensions. And many people used to think that when you die, you go to heaven or hell. Everything is explained in this graph. That made me think that maybe when they were trying to explain to us what is hell, what is heaven, that we're gonna go to hell when we die, we're gonna go to heaven when we die. They were trying to explain this, but they not bring more light about it. It's actually somehow connected, but just know, remember in your Bible there is a verse that says, "Then I saw the new heaven and the new earth, for the old heaven and the old earth had passed away." When you take time to think about it, you're going to discover something I'm trying to tell you here. Because in actual sense, I'm not going to give you the whole video here. I'm going to make the video in Luganda. I put it on YouTube, and in the channel, Telegram channel, I'm going to make another full video in English to explain to you all these things that I've been telling you all along. But right now I'm having a lot of light about it. I'm actually excited to tell you this. But when I got chance of accessing the fifth dimension, I discovered a lot. The fifth dimension is where we go when we die. When we dream, when we think, when we imagine, when we go into astral projection, The highest dimensions we can access at our lower levels is the fourth dimension. Why? The fourth dimension is your dimension, is your world. Third dimension is our world. Fifth dimension is where we go when we die. You don't control the dimension, but you control the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is your world. Why am I telling you that? Look at sometimes when you watch a horror movie and you sleep, you end up dreaming the same things that you've been watching in the movie. So you create your own nightmare. Why? That movie was yours. You watched it yourself and you started thinking about it. It got stuck into your mind, in your heart, and then you started experimenting what you saw or experiencing what you saw in the third dimension. But once you sleep, you go in the fourth dimension to see how your life is moving actually. Fourth dimension reflects your third dimension. The dreams you get in the fourth dimension, the thoughts you get, the beliefs you create in your heart, what you experience in the astral realm is a reflection of what you have mastered or not mastered in this physical body, in this third dimension. So, once we die, we go to the fifth dimension. Now, your question is, why did I put fifth dimension to physical? This is spiritual. We die, we go there. In the fifth dimension, once we die, there is no giving birth, there is no death, there is no money, and you won't survive there with ego. That's why all the time we tell you to learn many things as you can in the third dimension. Kill your ego, kill your body desires. Because why? This graph will show you the reason why people are living worse lives as they are right now. You understand why people are born lame, people are born blind, people are born to suffer. Because once you access the fifth dimension, once you die and reach there and discover that you failed to take your time and learn what you were supposed to learn in the third dimension, the fifth dimension will become hell for you and it will be more worse. Why? Because here on earth, in the third dimension, we're actually living heaven and hell at the same time. When I talk about heaven and hell, I think you get it because people live good life here and people live worst life here. There is nothing like heaven and hell just after dying. We already experience it. That's why the Bible tells you that what you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and what you unlock on earth will be unlocked in heaven. That's what I'm telling you. If you try to create your heaven here in the third dimension, the third dimension will vanish away because it holds the heaven, the old heaven, and the old earth. As the Bible told you, then I saw the new heaven and the new earth. Then, what does it mean? That means that in every dimension we have duality, heaven and hell. In every dimension we have duality. If you dream, if you think negative, if you imagine negative, just know you are imagining what you're going to experience in the fifth dimension, because in the fifth dimension you become what you think. I remember I've been telling you about those topics about reincarnation. Now, this is going to be a bit wide, and you will understand why they say that we're going to shift from the third dimension to fifth. The point is, this is the last thing I'm going to tell you in this video. Once you die after mastering the third dimension, that means you're operating in the fifth density of consciousness. That is matching the frequency of fifth dimension. You're gonna live longer there. If you match the frequency and you qualify, you will choose either to reincarnate or not reincarnate. Now the question is, if I choose not to reincarnate, will I take eternity in the fifth dimension? Am I going to have a fixed time or a fixed period that I'm going to spend there so that I can come back on earth? The answer is, once you die and match the frequency of fifth dimension, you're going to live in a spiritual world without death, without living back, without doing what, just experiencing what you managed to learn in the third dimension. But the day you come back on earth is when you decide that, okay, I mastered everything. I want to go back and guide humanity. I want to go back and fulfill a certain purpose or guiding someone specific. Oh, you wait until the earth shifts to the dimension that corresponds with your spiritual dimension. So if we shift from the third to fifth dimension, people who died and they are already there matching the frequency of fifth dimension, that is the right time they are going to reincarnate, to come back in the physical body. Why? The earth has shifted to the dimension that corresponds with the dimension they are already in the afterlife. Now they reincarnate to experience life here. I had to put this spiral for you to understand that the cycle repeats itself. Remember, this is third dimension, physical, we are in. Fourth dimension, experimental. Well, experiment what? We already know in the third dimension what we believe, what we think about, what we imagine in the third dimension. Now we're experimenting in the fourth dimension. So after that, when we die, we go in the fifth dimension. We wait for the day that Earth shifts to a dimension that corresponds to the fifth spiritual dimension. That means people in the fifth dimension who died long time ago. I don't care if they've been there for like 1 million years, they're gonna be having chance to reincarnate. So take care. Right now, you may be producing someone or some guys that managed to succeed in this dimension, and now they're gonna come back in the physical world. Why? Because the dimension is now matching with who they are. The same cycle repeats. That's why I did this spiral. I'm gonna tell you that the same thing is gonna happen like this, bro. Now this one is gonna be fifth. This one is gonna be fifth dimension in the body. Once the earth shifts to the fifth dimension, these are gonna come and join us. And the experimental will be the sixth dimension. This one we're going to be experiencing dreams, thoughts, imagination, astral projection, fields, and so on. And once you die from the fifth dimension, you're going to be sent to the seventh dimension. And then the same cycle repeats from seventh to the seventh physical dimension. Then as we go on with 8, 9, and blah blah. Did you got it? Don't forget there are people that are going to be trapped in these dimensions. There's a reason why we have ghosts. There is a reason why we have people that are going to suffer in this world without understanding this. So this graph is a big deal, and I don't know which name I can give it because it's just my invention. Should we just call it? You can just call it a theory. Just call it a JD theory, right? J is my name. Dimension theory, JD theory. Just take it as a theory. If you don't understand it, just let it be like it is. Guys, allow me to stop here, and once I get time, I'm gonna come and explain to you every bullshit you want to know about this. But take time, reason about this fucking graph I've just created. Understand how it works. You understand the secrets of the world. You understand what happens after we die. You understand why we need to be awakened before leaving this earth, right? Okay, love, peace, and harmony to all the gods and goddesses. We're gonna meet again.